Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Play the Tape. I am your host, Derek J. Fields. And listen, full disclaimer, um, full disclosure, we are not licensed or certified drug and alcohol counselors or mental health or substance use counselors or social workers. What we're here at Play the Tape, we are a podcast, a platform that provide advocacy, support, and community and experience strength and hope. And with that, there'll be love and faith and recovery. Now, there will be times where I will have guests that will be on the professional side and they will give their experience, strength, and hope on how they help people with mental health challenges and substance use disorders. Or if you're like me, you're dual diagnosed. But today, my guest is my brother, Demetrius Bryant. Um, Love this brother. He was so gracious and so excited to do the show. I am so happy and so blessed and honored that you're here. And I can't wait to hear your story. And I know an hour isn't always enough time, but if you choose, I would love to have you back. But for right now, we're going to be in the present. So my guest, no further ado, Demetrius Bryant. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, and thank you for allowing me on this show and this podcast. So I'll start back with my testimony back in 2017. I was on my first deployment, and before that, I really never had a problem with alcohol, but I received a phone call from my stepmother, and she told me that my dad was in prison. And at that time, I'm like, why? Because he was a pastor, preacher, married, um, 6 children. I was the oldest. When she told me, I was confused. She told me that he was sleeping with my little sister Hannah, and that at that point I was so angry at him. Right, I didn't hate him, but I was angry at him, and the only excuse that they would give me was that he did it because some temptation or demon or devil, and I thought it was all bullshit because he knew the word. So long story short, I found out after all my other events, he ran from his emotions and his thoughts. He never really examined them. He ran from them. So he utilized religion to kind of hide from his emotions. So the Christ entity kind of helped, gave him comfort, but he still never really was able to examine his thoughts, his traumas, his emotions. Um, After that, I started drinking. I was depressed. Um, then 2018
How old were you when that was occurring, D?
was 23, I believe. I was 23 when that happened, and I was you. It kind of broke my heart at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at that time, I was angry at him. And then the following year, my stepmother, she was killed in a she was T-boned by a semi truck. She was taking my little brother to school and got caught in the traffic, and that was. I haven't seen them at that time since 2016, since I joined the service at that time. So I was planning on going to see them, and then like that's gone. So I started drinking more. Um, then the following year, 2018, my biological mother, she died from a heart attack. From She basically overdosed, off of crack cocaine, and it stopped her heart. And only saw her twice in my life. Once when I was about 2, and another after boot camp. That was 2016. But then she ended up passing away 2018 from a heart attack. So again, I ran from my emotions. I just picked up the bottle. That was my solution at the time. Then the following year, 2019, um, my my auntie who raised me, my mother, she ended up dying from brain failure. She had fluid in her lungs. All that was built up from the use of crack cocaine and her drug of choice. And I just, at that point, I didn't care about anything. Um, I was lost. I didn't really know how to think for myself. I was always was overly dependent on my parents, or people that I looked up to, and I realized that I needed to change. And I always kept my relationship with my God, the God of my understanding.
Mm-hmm.
I never went anywhere. I realized I was overly dependent on people. So then I was on YouTube one day, and this was back in 2020 on the computer, and then next thing you know, I see a YouTube ad, and it had I've never seen a black man, a multi-millionaire black man. He had all his vehicles. He said it wasn't rented. And he was in the service. I was in the service. So it was basically, it was in alignment.
Mm-hmm.
So he had some stuff about mindset, and at that time I didn't know anything about mindset. I only thing I knew about was my own personal relationship with Christ. Um, Outside of that, I didn't know anything about myself. So once I dived into mindset, I started studying. He started teaching me how to basically act as if. He told me to look in the mirror for 90 days, started writing down my perfect days for 90 days, listen to theta waves, alpha waves, different frequencies, learning about the mind, the subconscious mind, the conscious mind, the outer ego, the inner ego, the soul, um, many different things. And I started to see that it was me that was creating my own life through my thoughts, my emotions, my beliefs, and my expectations. And when I realized that I wasn't powerless over my circumstances, then I started to study, develop, and that led me to study Napoleon Hill, Andrew Carnegie, Ralph Waldo Emerson, um, Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Wesley Virgin, Bob Proctor. Who else? And eventually, I ran into Jane Roberts. Now,
Mm-hmm.
when I Roberts, this woman expanded my consciousness to the point where it's more on a personal level, and you can understand why things are happening. Like for me in my life, I realized that the alcohol wasn't the problem. I utilized it as a solution to suppress the problem. So I still had to face the problem. So when the bottle was gone, I still had to face my emotions, my thoughts. So what I did was I got a notebook, and I titled the page. It isn't necessarily true, even though I believe it. And I just wrote down my personal beliefs that I was carrying since I was a child, such as I'm at the mercy of my past. Life is full of sorrows. Um, uh, Devils and demons are a fact. Um, I'm a sinner. I'm not worthy. These are beliefs that I was taught.
Mm-hmm.
On to them all the way up until I was an adult. When I realized that these are ideas that was passed down to me and not necessarily my own, then I realized I was living someone else's reality. So I threw it all in the garbage, and I started to form my own reality and reprogram my mind. It's a lifestyle, and that's what led me to believe that we live many existences at the same time. Because I became conscious in my dreams. I remember every dream I had since I was born, and I never knew why it happened until I got older. People only told me, like, it's fantasy, it's not real. And but the more I dream, the more it feels like I'm in the flesh. So when I discovered that, I started to manipulate my dreams. I became conscious. I could not speak in tongue. So, but when I think and feel, right, my reality changes instantaneously in the dream state, or I call it framework two. And framework two is inner reality, and that's only in alignment with good or constructive thoughts.
How do
Framework
you
one,
how do you practice that? How do you practice that mentality of changing your thoughts in your dreams at that time when you become conscious that, okay, I'm dreaming. This is
yes.
a dream, and this isn't where I need to be in my dream. How can I take control of that? That's very interesting.
So before you go to sleep,
Mm-hmm.
you alpha state. our brain waves slow down to a point where we can program ourselves. So what I suggest is, as you sleep, repeat in your mind, what am I actually conscious of at this time? And the more you repeat it over and over and over again in your head, you're going to doze off, and eventually you're going to become conscious in your dreams. But I recommend that if any individual believes in like demons and devils and they're depressed or something like that, don't go down this journey, because it will not be any conscious manipulation because of their belief. They're going to assume that it's evil or a demon, but really it's the phenomenon of unharmed. You know,
Mm.
if we're made in God's image and it's good, right? How can we be evil? It don't make sense. But we can believe that we are. But that's how you get to that stage. But you have to practice. I practice for 10 minutes a day. I
Hmm.
practice just being. Don't call it meditation, no standard, just be. And whatever happens is uniquely your own. But
So from 16, and I think that's very interesting. Okay, for I okay, I lay down when I go to sleep at night, and my higher power, I call God, I call Christ. I say, of course, I pray and I meditate. I pray 3 times a day. I meditate throughout the day, and I just talk to my higher power throughout the day. But when I lay down at night, my brain is always moving, just always moving. It's so hard to just be quiet, just relax. So I talk to my higher power, and that calms my thoughts down. It calms my breathing down. And I just thank him for the day. I thank God for my higher power, who I choose to call God, for the good and the bad and everything. And if I have offended someone, please forgive me, and just say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm conscious of my dreams too. I don't know how to change them yet. But I know, okay, I know when the enemy is attacking me in my dreams, because I'm not giving into my fleshly or worldly desires. I'll give you an example. Okay, so sex is that was my activity, because I'm addicted to more. As an addict for Derek, I'm more than just a substance. I am whatever makes me feel good addict. I'm addicted to more. So when I started tapping into my consciousness, tapping back into my past to learn myself for the future, I found out that I was addicted to sex, masturbation, porno before I ever took a substance. So when I removed myself from the substances, okay, the enemy was like, or the disease, because they both here, the disease and the enemy are one and the same. They're both here to steal, kill, and destroy. I have sex dreams. I'm like, okay, I see what you're trying to do. I pulled myself away back from that substance. My drug of choice was crack cocaine. But my first ever thing when it came to addiction was sex. And it knows that. And it brings that up to make me fall back on that type of behavior when I'm low, when my spirit is low, or I
right.
feel like I'm sad or the world is pressing. So I'm conscious of my dreams. Man, I had a huge dream and a war dream and a flash and a night terror. That D that was the weirdest, craziest ish I've ever experienced. But anyway, what I'm asking is, when it was 16, 17, 18, and 19, those 3 years that trauma was just coming your way and life was just hard, and you figured out that that bottle wasn't enough. What made you do that search on YouTube at that time? I guess what I'm asking is, when did Demetrius was like, enough is enough and I need to make a change? Because there had to be something before you went to YouTube to find and become the person that you're becoming now.
So on May 9th, 2020, that's the exact date when it happened.
Okay.
So it actually came to me. I wasn't looking
Mm.
right. I asked questions to myself, but then the answer came to me. It just popped up on YouTube. I was not looking for it physically. I just waited. It all happened in divine order, and then I felt it. I knew. I just knew it was going to help me. I knew it was the one for me, and I never forget that date, May 9th, 2020. Basically, when I was born again. Um,
Hmm.
renewed my mind, and but this time I was born again through the oversoul or my inner self, the real me. So I consider my higher self. I am my higher self. When you become more aware of it, and you realize that God figure is you, because God sees himself as human. Humans don't see themselves as God. That's the error. So until they see themselves as gods, they will feel powerless to change their circumstances. This is our world. He's not responsible for the glories or terrors. They blame him for it though. That's why
Right.
you have these atheists, because they don't get it. They're like, oh, how is there a God when all this has happened? Then you got different sets of religion. They tell you, hey, this we are right and they're wrong. So it's a constant battle. So what I did was I figured it out for myself. I trust my own voice within me. The God in me, it always steers me in the right direction. So when it told me that I had to study it for myself, I did that. I examined it for myself when I was two, from the ages of 2 till about 26.
Hmm.
That I'm with the word, because now it's in my heart. I don't need a Bible. It's in me already. Um, but that led me to discover, to expand my consciousness outside of it, because I was able to see the truths and the distortions in it. And all religions, they all disagree, but they all have one agreement, that we become what we think about. Or they say, oh, we have the power to speak things into existence. Why? You know what I'm saying? They don't ask questions. They say, oh, we just speak things into existence. Who would trust me? Who would give me that much authority, that much power? Who trusts me with all that power? Who would give me such a responsibility to speak things into existence? Okay, how do I speak things into existence? Is there a certain way, or is it I just speak? Do I create everything out of nothing and turn it into something? You see, when they don't ask, they don't receive. It says you have not because you ask not.
Right.
And how would there? How can there be an enemy when you're good? Everything is supposed to be good. Only enemies you create is those that we believe in. When I realized that I was my own enemy, that's when I had to correct myself.
And I'm you're making me think, and I'm feeling I'm feeling your frequency right now, because I'm a feel person, and I do believe in frequency and vibrations. I do believe, well, for me, I do believe in the high power, and I do believe in the Most High, and I do believe that the Most High is in us because the Most High created us. That's just, we're in that image. I do believe that, but I do believe also in vibrations. I do also believe in frequencies, and everyone's vibration and everyone's frequency is different.
Correct.
When are you okay? Are you diagnosed? Because I know we both suffer from substance use, but do you also suffer from mental health?
In the past, yes, through the military.
Same. Hey, thank you for your service, brother. Um, so we both got that commonality, and that's the kind of commonality you found when you, and that's crazy. That's not crazy. There's no, I don't believe in coincidences. I believe that things happen and you're right where you need to be when you need to be there.
Right.
And that's what happened to you. You weren't looking for it, but you were there when you needed to be. You was there when you needed to be there in that right space, because that's the frequency you was vibrating at that time, and that's the frequency that was returned to you. That energy. I believe that, and that's great. I feel your frequency, and you get me to think. So I guess my question is, when life comes at you, and you're saying that we create, and I agree, we do inflict a lot more of damage on ourselves than we need to. But say an external force. It's not Demetrius. It's not internal, but external forces of the world coming at you. How do you block that? How do you stay neutral and grounded in this newfound frequency, in this newfound of thought or consciousness that you found when the outside world is coming at you?
When I realized that the outside is a replica of my inner world, that means I can change. By changing my inner world, then my outside world will change. So I had to look within. Although the outside was showing me something different,
Mm-hmm.
create a new image through my imagination. And then my environment changed. The world around me changed. My world changed. And then I realized everyone can only view reality through their own image. They create their own world. So I stopped focusing on whatever the world does. I know their belief system,
Mm-hmm.
their belief system, and they all have the same belief system, and they're basically my old self. And they have my old consciousness. So that's how I can tell by people by their consciousness, by how they speak or how their ideas, or that's how I can pretty much see. And I let them be. It's not bad or wrong. I realize it's destructive and creative, but that's their birthright. They can mess up as many times as possible. They live forever anyway. They just pretend that they're physical. That act doesn't work for me anymore. When you become aware of the soul or oversoul that you are, I mean, you'll fly through the belief systems like it's nothing. Like, I could drop dead right now and I'll still be conscious. There's no hypocrisy. You know what I'm saying? So I will continue to develop. For me, it will be no heaven or hell or demons and devils because I'm past that stage. Those are children's tales. They still children. It says when I became a man, I put away childish things. He wasn't talking about physical reality. He was talking about a psychological and spiritual development. It's pretty obvious they haven't developed as much. They project the past into the future from the present. So when somebody in their terms come from the future, me, right, from the
Mm-hmm.
right, and I tell them about their future in the present, they reject it. So they can't see their future in the present, but they can see the past and project that into their future because they don't understand the present is the point of power. We live in the moment. And if you live in the moment, you can change the moment. So whatever happens outside of me
Mm-hmm.
is of me. So it's never external forces.
Okay. Have you overcome the mental health challenges and the substance use challenges? And what I mean, have you overcome? Do you still? Is there still? Does it still attack you where you're at presently right now, as the future of Demetrius, not where the world you left that behind, but can that part still come into your present state? And if so, how do you defend, or how do you keep yourself free from it? Where no, I don't have to do that anymore. I don't have to go down that road anymore because I know what that road is. I'm better than that. I'm of course I want to say that you're better than that. You're past that. How do you protect yourself against that force of life, mental health or substance use? Because I know sometimes trials and tribulations do happen. Life does happen. And yeah, we're spiritual beings, but we get sad. We get we grieve, we feel things. How do you get past that part of it?
So you said something about vibrations and attraction.
Mm-hmm.
So by law, the law of vibration states whatever you're in vibration with, or whatever you're in feeling with, you attract. Whatever you're in vibration with, you attract. The law of attraction states the same. Pretty much whatever you're in vibration with, you attract. And vibration is you attract what you're in vibration with. So I personally, I don't run from it. I speak
Mm-hmm.
to it. Because remember, everything is simultaneous. The past, present, and future is all happening. So by my current ideas, I speak life to my past self, my addicted self. I speak life to it. So it changes its whole psychological pattern because we're not physical beings. So we can travel, time travel to the past psychologically. And you can change that paradigm, that paradigm, that program. You can change that program and speak life to that portion of me. I can't deny that that portion of me don't exist, right? So
Right.
I life to it. And it helps me in many ways that like now I understand my emotions better. It's okay to feel sad or angry or so-called negative emotions. I don't even call them negative or positive anymore. I threw that in the garbage. It was too much conflict. Um, so I allow my emotions to be. If I feel a certain way, that doesn't mean that I am a certain way. And then I question it. Okay, why do I feel sad? Okay, where did it come from? And then it's all your conscious mind. You'll just discover the reason, the root assumption, and then you can change it. So
I like. No, go ahead. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
in the my old addicted self, they no longer really exist because they transformed. The transition, it doesn't stay the same because the power of the present. By me giving them life, they change. Just like how I change, they change.
Did this change occur when? Okay, so have you been in treatment? You've been in treatment.
Yes, I have.
Okay. There's no more. There's no more treatment for you. But if you needed to reach out, okay. I guess what I'm saying is, and I love this because this is. I'm so. I love new information. I love to study, and I love not the status quo. I don't like. I like new things and new ways to look at things positively, and or like you say, a change in a different direction, in a new direction, become a better you, the higher you, inform as in not the higher you as form as using, but the higher consciousness of you to be this person. So did this come after treatment, or was this something that was finding you? Y'all were finding, you were attracting, it was attracting to you and you were attracting to it in treatment, or this was this something that happened after treatment, or do you even think for you treatment is necessary anymore on the mental health side and or the substance use, because both of those are treatment based.
So it for me, it was May 9th, 2020.
Mm-hmm.
That's everything started to change. So when I was able to go to treatment, um, it was easier, because I was already examining my thoughts. I wrote them down, but I didn't examine them. Yeah, I wrote them down, but I didn't examine them until I went to treatment. And then that's when I had those 90 days to just look at myself, look at my beliefs. And then I was able to see myself. Then I wrote not necessarily like the opposite, but different, a different structure, a different mental structure, a pattern instead of the old pattern that I had. So I had to basically reprogram myself daily. But that happened May 9th, 2020, and after treatment and before treatment. I think it's a lifestyle. And at this stage, the reason why I went back was to help people. Um,
Mm.
a lot of them, not, I don't say they're not lost, they're not aware. I don't like to use the term lost. No one's lost. Um, we just have to become aware of who and what we are. Because it said know thyself, right? So I took that to heart. Why is it that we know everything about the president, the world at large, but when I asked them, what is the soul?
Yo,
What it
D.
is?
Okay.
Can you
Okay.
bring?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, you said what is the soul? That's
Right.
where yeah.
They don't know what it is. So I asked them, what is their conscious mind? What is the subconscious mind? What is the outer ego? What is the inner ego? Your inner ego. What is it? If they can't answer those questions, what are they doing with their time? Right? Which has nothing to do with me. But as an oversoul, and I examine this reality, oh yeah, they're fucked up. They're ego time, because the outer ego is a jealous God, and it wants us
Mm-hmm.
does not want to admit the reality of any dimensions except those within which it feels comfortable and can understand. It was meant to be an aid, but has been allowed to become a tyrant. But I say the outer ego is my aid, and its curiosity is of great value because it can look inward when it realizes it can utilize the information for physical terms. But they call it the devil, right? They call it a demon. That's themselves. It's a part of you. It's never going anywhere. That voice in your head, those two voices, yeah, one is the outer ego, the other is the oversoul or God,
Mm-hmm.
as we speak of it. But when I realized that, I stopped calling it names, right? I stopped talking about myself like like it was evil. I was putting that on myself, but then I became aware of it, and then it's not as rigid as it seems. And then the inner ego, it's the inner perceiver of reality. That voice in your head, that voice of God speaks through the inner ego. It connects us with this physical personality, that inner ego, that voice in our head. So there's various stages of like who we really are and what we really are. So it don't make sense when they used to tell me in school, and we were slaves and all this. And I'm like, I'm not my body. Like it don't make sense. Like consciously, it don't make sense when you become aware of yourself. But the only way I had to do this is if I cut the world off. I turned off social media for a while. Uh, Not stock, no phone calls. Uh, I just cut off the world, and I started writing for 90 days, affirmations, um, frequencies,
Yeah.
development, and that's what I had to do. I had to cut off the world and throw all my old beliefs in the garbage after I examined them and
You
changed.
got I'm looking up because I'm thinking. I'm paying attention to you. But I'm looking up all this. I'm looking up because I'm thinking. D got me thinking. Demetrius got me thinking. And I feel okay. So when my inter inter ego, or
Inner.
inner, okay. I feel that presence as it's a warm, loving um energy frequency.
Yes.
Um but you said something when you speak, I feel it, because so I know that's why I smile the way I smile, because I understand what you're saying and I get it, because but I get it on a different way, but it's the same. For if How can I say this? My brain is still trying to heal from all of that TBI and the drugs and all of that, so I don't talk as clear as I used to. Well, I guess what I'm saying is I feel your vibration, I feel your frequency, I feel that energy, I receive that energy to be true because of what I know and what I've experienced and witnessed. So I know what you're saying. Um, that outer ego, you said something that got me curious. You said you don't use it, you don't pay attention to, you use that outer ego for your good, for
Yeah.
your benefit. How do you do that? Explain that to me, because that really sparked my curiosity. How do you do that?
So when you look inward, when like anytime you pray or anytime you seek your higher power for answers, you're allowing your inner ego to look inward for answers. Or if you look at, let's say you're focusing on, instead of watching a movie at night, you're watching personal development, right? You're watching You're learning about, let's say, the law of attraction, the law of vibration. You're learning about the outer ego. You're reading books, audio books, or whatever book that's going to help benefit your inner reality. And then it can utilize it for physical terms, such as they call it manifestation, right? So we can utilize the outer ego to look inward, such
Mm-hmm.
as, let's say, you got a stressful day, right? And all you're thinking about is the chaos, and then all of a sudden your inner ego comes along and says, "Hey, relax, relax, pray, or do something." Then your outer ego may say, "Nah, I don't want to do that," right? Or it could say, "You know what? Let's give it a try." And then you close your eyes, you pray, you meditate, and then you receive answers from your inner self or that higher
Mm.
entity.
Right.
Call it God. They must realize that it is them, is yourself. You're made in God's image. He's not responsible for your dreams, your thoughts, your expectations, your emotions. We are. At least I am. It seems to me that every time I change my emotions and my thoughts, my reality, my world changes. And not only this world, my inner world. That's where what we must realize. We create far more environments than we realize. Like, let's say if I go to sleep angry, right? Let's say I go to sleep angry about my ex-wife. I would immediately have an argument in my dream about the same thing that I was arguing with in the flesh. And
Mm.
when I caught myself, I was like, what are we doing? Then I changed it. And then when I changed that dream, my physical reality changed. Then we stopped arguing. You know what I'm saying? So it can look inward and you can become conscious, but it's practice. I just say practice. Practice personal development, mindset, know what it is, know what
Know
a
what it
paradigm.
is.
A
Mm.
paradigm is a mental program that has almost exclusive control over our habitual behavior, and almost all of our behavior is habitual. Also, is a multitude of ideas in your subconscious mind that somebody else put there that's controlling your behavior. And when I realized that, I was basically, my outer ego was used to that paradigm. It doesn't want to change. It loves to be comfortable.
Right. And that programming, that's what that paradigm is, that programming. You got to change that programming.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's the main. That's one of the main things. But in order to change that program, you got to change your conscious thoughts.
Mm.
You either
Okay. Oh, go ahead. So I'm so, dude, you got me. You got to come back up here again. You got me. Okay. So we got about 15 minutes. Man, D, this is good. This is really good stuff.
Thank you.
My son broke his wrist. He broke the right one. He broke both, but the left one is really bad where he has to have surgery. He was weightlifting. 14. I was like, mm. But I see what you're saying because I think I did it. Instead of being, because my son is we're teaching him to, sometimes he can be an extremist. And he was like, man, my dreams are over. He was going to get an academic scholarship, a football scholarship. He had dreams, he had purpose, he got drive. And now he feels like it's over. But me and his mother and his stepfather and his stepmother teaching him that no, don't, nothing's over. Your dream is not over. Yeah, you may have to work a little harder, but your dream is not over. And I had to take it. And I told my wife, I was like, you know what? I got to have faith. For me, I got to have faith in whatever the outcome is. Like, why you say that, D? Because I got to be an example to him that no matter whatever life happens, you got to have faith, good, bad, or indifferent. You have to trust that inner being. I still call it God, my higher power, that there is a plan or a purpose that may not be revealed to me yet, that I couldn't even fathom, but I still have to have faith in it because I've seen the miracles of myself. We are miracles coming from all the trauma and everything that we dealt with military growing up, being black men in America, and also dealing with substance use. The trauma, we're here. We're not supposed to be here. So we're miracles. That gives me the faith and gives me hope that I died a couple times on my couch. I told my son that.
Oh yeah.
I said, listen, your dad died at birth. Like I wasn't supposed to be here, but I'm here because I have a purpose. I have work or works to do for the people to be in service. So don't give up hope on your dream. Don't give up faith on God. Don't give up faith on yourself. Because, like you say, they're one and the same. I agree with that. But I had to tell my wife, I got to have faith right now. It's not going to do me any good to sit here and be sad or be hurt. Yeah, I empathize because we don't want nothing to happen to our children, to our family. But at the
Correct.
same time, you got to have faith in, and I did. I changed like you said, I changed my frequency. I changed my reality. I had to have the outer self, outer ego focus more inward to that inner ego to tap into that power.
Correct. Correct.
ah,
That's how it works.
yo, I'm hype. I'm okay.
That's how, and for him, it could be he wasn't utilizing certain abilities that he wasn't focused on. He was so focused in sports. He wasn't, again, the outer ego, so focused in sports that you don't look inward.
Right. And we're teaching them that. We're teaching them how to look more inward.
Right.
So, yeah, D, bruh. Okay. We got 10 minutes. 10 minutes. So, with everything that you've been through, I know there had to be resentment to others, resentment to self, forgiveness of self and others. How did that look in this? How does that look in this, in the new Demetrius? Forgiveness, okay, forgiveness of others, world, and self. How does that look for Demetrius now, where Demetrius is at this present moment in this new higher self, higher being, higher consciousness of self?
Well, first I had to forgive myself. And I wrote myself a forgiveness letter. Do you mind if I read it?
Go ahead. Absolutely.
Right here.
You see how that worked? That's amazing. That's amazing. Look, listen, people. I just want you, while D is getting the letter, I want y'all to understand that on Play the Tape, a lot of our stuff is organic. It's authentic. This wasn't planned. I didn't say, hey, D, this Derek and Demetrius, we're going to talk about forgiveness and everything. And I got a letter ready. That did not happen. That didn't happen, people. I just want you to understand where we at. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, so I wrote this 11/25/2022, 1:03 p.m. Friday. And it's called Dear Self, Forgive Yourself Now. Why do you constantly beat yourself up over someone or something that is out of your control but of your own creation? Do you remember the circumstances, conditions, environments, and reality that you have chosen by choice before you were born on this planet as a present personality who is a small portion of your entire identity? Have you gotten so comfortable with physical reality that you consider it the only real reality that any of you know? Will you finally see with your inner senses and inner eyes to give you a true picture of reality? Can you forgive yourself and your present personality and understand that this life is not your real home? And when you physically die, you leave with your beliefs about reality, your emotions, thoughts, and expectations. God forgives you now. So can you forgive yourself now and everyone and every living part of consciousness? Are you so afraid of what you may find that is good? All of the questions are valid. And the answer is this: you have been given perhaps the most awesome gift of all, the ability to project your thoughts outward into physical form. The gift brings a responsibility, and many of you are tempted to congratulate yourselves on these successes of your lives and then blame God, fate, and society for your failures. Mankind has a tendency to project its own guilt and its own errors upon a Father God image, who it seems must grow weary of so many complaints. The fact is, each of you creates your own physical reality, and en masse, you create both the glories and the terrors within your earthly experience. And until you realize that you are the creators, you will refuse to accept this responsibility. Nor can you blame a devil for the world's misfortunes. You have grown sophisticated enough to realize that the devil is a projection of your own psyche, but you have not learned how to use your creativity constructively. You have heard of the term muscle bound. As a species, you have grown ego bound instead, held in a spiritual rigidity with the intuitive portions of the self either denied or distorted beyond any recognition. You must forgive yourself, for I am consciousness king, and I love you and believe in you even when you do not believe in yourself. Love me first, because we have a bond that can never be destroyed, lost, or stolen, for we have eternal validity of the soul. We are made in God's image, and I tell you now that we love you unconditionally in this present moment, for I am I. I am ageless. I am nameless. I am consciousness king with the message. P.S. I love I now and forever, and we are one yet we are many. Conscious creator. The soul that I am speaks without words. Love, joy, creativity, truths, intuition, accomplishments gained now, but work for me then as they do now. I am consciousness king.
Hey, hey, I love that. I love
Thank
that. Yeah. So you forgiveness of self,
you. Yes. To that,
then yeah,
start with the soul. And
then
then I
what?
was everybody else.
Okay, okay. How long did it take you to forgive self?
At this point, it was 28 years. 28 years of me being on this earth at that time. 28 years. I never wrote a letter to myself of me being on earth until I was 28, going on 29 at that time.
Hmm. So the foundation is always before, and let me get this because I'm asking because I don't. I tell myself I'm intelligent because I know nothing, and I like to ask questions. I'm very curious and inquisitive, like yourself. So I'm asking. So before the foundation of this new consciousness, this new higher self state of being, has to start with forgiving yourself first. Am I right? Or is there another foundation level even before that?
So that I forgave myself after I learned, unlearned, and relearned.
Okay.
So once I learned about myself, then I was able to see myself, then forgave myself and understand why I'm forgiving myself. And
Okay.
then I was to forgive everybody else. But first, I
Gotcha.
had to reprogram my mind and basically put myself in an alpha state at ease, have my mind at ease first, and then I was able to see myself. But if it was in the beta state at first, I had too much on my mind, too much going on, so I had to slow myself down and actually be still and know that I am God. That's what it says. So that's what I had to do.
Okay. Fantastic, man. You're gonna have to email me some of these resources so I can share them too. When we, I'm gonna have to. Gonna do the resource. Oh, by the way, everyone, in season 2, this is season 1, and listen, you're my last interview for season 1, so I thank you for that, for wrapping that up the way you did. I think this couldn't have planned it no better, and I love the way God used you and working through you to understand who you are. And I thank you for this. I couldn't have wrapped up the season any better. But this, if you start in season 2, there at the end, there will be working on it. There will be resources and tools for people who need a higher consciousness and for people that need to reach out to someone just to talk, or if you need treatment, or if you need books, or if you need a journal, or whatever you need to do on your recovery journey. And this is part of recovery. That's the new state of consciousness is a part of recovery.
Yes.
I don't want people, I always tell people I just don't want recovery to just to be exclusively a mental health or a substance use term. Oh, I need recovery. Oh, you diagnosed or you, no, maybe, but I might just need recovery. I might just need a hug. That's recovery. I might need what Demetrius just gave us. That's recovery. I might need to key into my inner self, to my higher state of consciousness. That's recovery. I might need to do the work. I might need to reprogram to get to the point where I can forgive myself and others. That's recovery. So saying that is in season 2, there will be resources. And my brother right here gonna be making some of the beats that will be on the end of the show when we share those resources. So if you hear music or any beats, so musical selections, they're coming from this brother right here. I just wanted to say that and give you your flowers and your blessings that way, because the brother is talented in so many other ways, as you already could see. But you definitely I'm gonna send you my email. I definitely want some of these resources, some of these books, some of these authors that we can share with the people as well. Be a service that way, because this is interesting, and I want to study up more myself. So, listen, I want to say, and you'll be back up here. I hope you want to come back up here.
More, yes, yes. Great way to spend our time.
Yes, absolutely, man. This is I love all my guests that I've had so far. Um, this has been very deep for me. And when I mean deep, I mean soul wise, spirit wise. It has really been, I felt that. But anywho, listen, D, I'm not going to hold you up any longer. You'll be back up here. And listen, it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. And I love you, brother. And I thank you so much for doing this. I really, really do.
Thank you. And I love you too, man. Thank you for inviting me. And I had a great time.
Yeah. Yeah, you gonna be back up here. I tell all my guests that, and all my guests will be if they want to. But listen, brother, I love you. You be blessed, and peace and love to you and yours. Okay? Thank you. Listen, everyone, that is season 1. Season 2 will be coming soon. Give me a couple months. There's going to be a little bit of changes, like I said before, with the resources and the tools and the music. But I thank y'all for letting us come into your home, your car, your office, wherever you may be listening. If you want peace, it comes understanding, and with understanding comes love, and with love comes faith. With faith comes hope. And sometimes I get that order wrong, but you understand what I'm saying. And with that comes recovery. Listen, if ain't no one told you today they love you, we love you, I love you. Love is key. So thank you so much for this time, giving some of your time to listen to us up here at Play the Tape. Until season 2. All right, peace.